I do what I do. He knows what I'm about to tell him right now. It's Mr. Keep Running Your Mouth. That's what I do.
I just feel like I'm the champ, and at the end of the day, I'm just a fighting motherfucker. It doesn't matter. Inside, outside, I can just fight. So I just feel like if it gets down to the wire, and we gotta lock it up, I'm out on top.
Hey, look, as you can see how I'm looking, I stay solid. I'm always solid. I stay fuck solid. You know what I'm saying to the fans that know.
Can't do that job outside the ring. I'm a fighter, like I said before. Ain't no safety on the clock, so
What's going on? This is Michael Rogers, and this is Bodywork Boxing. And I know a lot of people was probably wondering what this thumbnail is all about. Why is Loma sitting by the phone, just waiting? Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a big Lomachenko fan. I pay respect where respect is due. But I think right now is a perfect time for me to address what I think is a perfect storm for this love triangle between Vasil, the Matrix, Lomachenko, Devin, the Dream, Haney, and Gervonta Tank Davis. You know, just to paint a picture, a couple weeks ago, Devin basically proved that his step-up fight was really just a stepping stone for bigger and better things as he went on to beat Jorge Linares. Then, last week, we had a doubleheader in which Tank stepped up to 140 and took out Barrios. And on the same night, Lomachenko took on Nakatani and, gave him a boxing clinic. And right now, all three fighters are coming up off a victory. They have nothing but time and nothing but opportunity for them to go ahead and get it on. And right now, down there at that 135 division, I would say that this love triangle, something needs to get popping right now. And I'm going to have to explain some things, but I'm also going to have to do some body work. And I'm going to have to eliminate some things. So I'm about to get into this real quick. Now, let's get into it. I'm going to start with Tank and some comments that Floyd made. And I'm starting with Tank because I think he's the best out of the three. But we got to respect the fact that Devin Haney has the real belt at 135. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a clash at 135 for a real belt, not a regular. But Devin is the man because he has that belt. Okay. But we got to start by addressing some comments that Floyd made that got the whole boxing world panties in a bunch, when I think all he was doing was pretty much establishing that he's going to be the A side in whatever venture he goes into. But we got to unpack what Floyd said to get an understanding as to how all these things can actually work, so we can get around to getting the fights, the two fights that we need to see happen. All right, let's break it down.
it's this. We work smarter, not harder. So we keep everything in-house. Mayweather Promotions, PBC. We all one family, so we're not gonna go nowhere and make another company great. So we got plenty of fighters that's at 140, 135, and 130. We're gonna continue to fight the fighters that we got to fight.
So let's go ahead and unpack what he said. He shouted out the brand, TMT. This is about money. He said PBC, which is, he's basically saying that's going to be the platform. He said we work smarter and not harder. meaning there isn't going to be any tough negotiations. All this back and forth. And not only do we have options, but we can do this at 40 or 35. And if you know Floyd and how he operates, he basically saying, look, I'm pretty much going to be calling all the shots. But I don't think that this was saying that he's closed off to anything. He just put it all out there. It's about money. It's going to be on his platform. They're not going to do no tough negotiations. And Tank got options at 40 and 35. And I know a lot of people they're making a big deal about the whole Josh Taylor thing. And that's just a taste whether we talking about legacy or money. So, I mean, the hardcore in me, that's the most important. If we talking about 40, that's the most important for me. But I don't think that, even though Taylor probably should be able to dictate everything, I don't think, since he's dealing with the money team, since it's really about money, that he really going to have a leg to stand on with that one. So, we got to start getting into the matchup between Tank and Loma or Tank and Dev. And I was listening to Bill, and I heard a couple of things that he said, and he seems like the way he sounds, it seems like he don't think there's going to be a big deal to be able to get the deal done. And so I found something that I would want to break down or play for reference just to see what Bill was talking about. Let's check it out.
Well, I mean, it's two things that we understand by that comment. You know what I'm saying? Is the first is that it's bullshit. You know what I mean? And the second is it's bullshit. You know what I mean? Because, and I'm gonna tell you why, is because when you say that you're gonna make them all in-house, but then you come back and you start talking about Ryan Garcia, you see what I'm saying? It's a direct contradiction, right? They say they offered Ryan the fight. They say that Leonard Ellerbe now says that that's a fight that's going to be a big fight later on down the road. It's one of the biggest fights in boxing. So I think that they're picking their poisons,
That's why the more and more I look at interviews with Bill, and I focus in and I quiet out the outside noise outside of what I'm focused on, which is a match between Tank and Devin, I understand Bill a lot more. He's very, very smart, and he is very right in that is a checkmate. That's a checkmate. That's if you go by what Ellerbe said, because that would be a contradiction. However, I don't want to focus on what Ellerbe said. I want to stick to what Money May said. Okay? So yes, it would be a contradiction. And that is a checkmate if you go by what Bill's saying. But he also starts getting into Ryan Garcia, and shortly after that, he says something very telling. So let's check it out.
Well, I mean, if you go to try to make a fight happen with Ryan Garcia and he's not a champion, right? And then and you're quote unquote the face of boxing, right? And you're that dominant of a fighter. We never got a call to try to make a fight happen. And Devin is a world champion at 135, and also Tank was the number one contender or ranked number one in the WBC at one time before he dropped down to fight Leo Santa Cruz.
Well, there you have it. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth. He never got a call. So that means he's available. Like I said earlier, everybody just coming off a victory. Everybody had stellar performances. And so there's no reason why that fight shouldn't be able to happen. My only thing is, we know that Money May gonna want the A side. We know that Devin, he has the most power because for the hardcores, we all know that he got that belt. But then you got Tank being the money man, who was getting paid the most. So that fight can be made. So there's no reason why we can't connect the dots between Devin and Tank right now. Okay? We're going to step aside to that, and we're going to get into how Loma comes into the picture, into this love triangle. And I heard some things. I looked up some things and started doing a little bit of research. And about a week ago, Bob was able to get on, and he gave out a lot of information. And to my surprise, he was very flattering of both Tank and Dev, saying that they were the best. And he also talked about how Loma, he want the best. And so I want to get into what Bob said, and after I reveal what he actually talked about, I'll go ahead and break it down. So we're gonna go ahead and take a second, and we're gonna listen to what Bob had to say about all of this.
Again, look at Lopez. Because he didn't take precautions and got COVID, he probably will only have one more fight this year, and that will be the Cambosa fight. So obviously, if Lomachenko wins, he doesn't want to sit around waiting, and so Lomachenko only wants to fight the best. And who are the best? Maybe Devin Haney, or maybe Tank Davis. I mean, Loma would consider both of those guys big challenges, and we would certainly like to make those matches. But again, it takes two to tango. So, number one, as far as Tank Davis, what does Floyd think about that? I mean, he's either manager or promoter, and nobody is more of an astute boxing scholar than Floyd Mayweather. He knows boxing. And then as far as Haney is concerned, it depends on whether his father, Bill Haney, wants the fight. I mean, I don't know. But again, if Lomachenko wins, and it doesn't look like there'll be a Teofimo Lopez rematch this year, we would welcome either of those two guys.
Which one do you think is the more doable fight, Bob?
I have no idea until I talk with them. I have no idea. I've never even mentioned this to Floyd or to Ellaby, but I would, and I know that Bill Haney has said that he would want Devin to fight Lomachenko. But again, on what terms and how much and all of that stuff.
I remember you talking about making a Haney fight for Teofimo is unrealistic because of the timetable that he wanted to get a fight in October before his child would be born. Does this?
Well, now he can't get a fight in.
Right. So does that open possibilities to Haney and Lopez, or?
What do you mean Haney and Lopez?
So because Lopez, you said it takes a month for Hearn to go over an offer.
No. Yeah, but Lopez still has that fight with Cambosa that he has to do.
But should he win that fight?
But that fight now won't happen until September, I hear. So Lopez then doesn't want to fight in November because his wife is going to have their first child, and you can't blame him. So forget about him fighting for the rest of the year after the Cambosa fight.
Is that fight possible after Cambosis now, though?
Which?
Lopez and Haney? Was that a fight you'd want to make, or?
Well, that won't probably happen until next year. So what if the guy's going to do? Sit on their ass until next year? I don't think so.
So let me go ahead and unpack what Bob said, because he said a lot, and I just want to go ahead and get into it. Basically, what we had here was Bob paying compliments to Floyd. So his mouth led us to believe or leads us to believe that he will be open to negotiations. He said he don't know as far as the terms and all that, but he paid tribute to Floyd's boxing mind. So when it comes to Loma, there is an opportunity for him and Floyd to get over their past differences and make a fight happen between Loma and Tank. Okay? That's the first thing. He paid compliments to both Tank and Dev and saying that they were the best and that Loma wants the best. So we got a hungry Loma coming off a win. He wants the best. Okay? He ruled out the rematch happening anytime this year. And I respect the journalist because he was very persistent in trying to speak to a Lopez versus Devin, because that was settled or undisputed once and for all. Okay, and that's what a lot of the fans want. All right, but let's remove Lopez out of the picture and let's focus on Loma and Dev, because Loma and Dev, as early as I think it was like March maybe, they were actually talking and going back and forth on Twitter. Dev asked about Loma's whereabouts, and Loma responded like, I'm ready. You know, where's my offer? You get my offer together? You know, so Bob let us know that because Lopez messed around and got COVID and he still has a fight in front of him that he has to deal with, that although it's supposed to be a rematch between Lopez and Loma, that Loma actually wants Tank. So Mayweather, please make that fight. Or Dev, Mr. Bill, please make that fight. Okay? You could hear that Bob was getting very frustrated whenever it was talked about Devin and Lopez, Tio, actually getting in and doing the dance. You know, and my theory is that Bob is not going to feed Tio to Devin. You know, I have my prediction on that. I actually think Tio can beat Devin. And that's just my honest opinion. You know, whether he believes he can or not, that's a whole different story. You know, I know that's not a popular thing, and I don't want to get shunned, or I don't want something to happen to my grandmother, even though I don't have any alive. Good for me. I want nothing to happen to my family, but I actually think that Tio can actually beat Devin. Okay, but that's not my focus on this video. My focus is to actually get a fight between Devin and Tank, Tank and Loma, or Loma and Tank. And Bob made it very clear that he is open and available. So the way I see it, these two young brothers got Loma in a corner. Who wants it? So let's remove the Comeys, because I would like to see Comey versus Dev, or Nakatani versus Dev, or Tank versus Comey, or maybe even Tank against Nakatani. I just want to see the creme de la creme fight the creme de la creme. And so if we remove the Josh Taylor and the Tank, which I think would be the best thing right now, which I would go for. If we remove that, let's focus on this love triangle. All parties are basically saying that they want to fight the best. I know Floyd wants to do his thing, and we're going to have to like understand or overstand and understand that he's going to want the A side. If all parties can agree to that, then I think we can go ahead and get this love triangle popping. And I think right now at 135, outside of Lopez, I think that one of these three fights need to happen. Okay? That's it. That's all. I hope I made it very plain and simple in my endeavor to get us to see the best fighting the best. Okay? That's it. And I had to do that body work.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
word and I do what I do. And he knows what I'm about to tell him right now. It's Mr. Keep running your mouth. That's what I do.
I just feel like I'm the champ, and at the end of the day, I'm just a fighting motherfucker. It doesn't matter. Inside, outside, I can just fight. So I just feel like if it get down to the wire, we gotta lock it up, I'm out on top.
Hey, look, as you can see how I'm looking, I stay solid. I'm always solid. I stay solid, right? You know what I'm saying? To the fans that don't know.
They do their job outside the ring. I'm a fighter, like I said before. There ain't no safety on the clock, so I'm gonna